Good morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to PWR today for Thursday morning. It's March 3rd, 2022. The man they call Meathead, the Matthew Thomas of Matthew Thomas's, the Matthew of the streets on the streets, and the Matthew that is on your PWR Today podcast this morning, Matthew Thomas. Good morning, Matthew. Matthew.
Hey, good morning. And I'll tell you, when I am on the street, I'll tell you exactly what I'm wearing. I'm wearing collar and elbow clothing. It's available exclusively at collarandelbowbrand.com. Enter promo code LindaK, save 10%, and put that money back in your pocket. So you got a little bit more money to shop around with when you're on the street.
Look at you just segueing right into the sponsor. Thank you for taking care of it. I'm going to segue right into a bit of news here. We're going to get to the Tony Kahn announcement in just a little bit, what he had on Dynamite last night. But first, let's talk Bully Ray, or Bubba Ray from ECW, WWE, the two-time Hall of Famer, is the next guest on the Broken Skull Sessions.
Hey, and I think it'll be a really good show. I mean, anytime you get somebody else who is in the podcast game themselves, whether it be Bully Ray or whether it be you or I, which we haven't gotten a call from Stone Cold yet, but I'm expecting that to come any day now. I said we haven't gotten our call from Stone Cold yet, but I'm expecting that to come any day. I said we haven't gotten our call from Stone Cold yet, but I expect that to come any day now. I think it'll be a good show. They know how a podcast or a video podcast or a video cast or a TV show or anything when you're in a broadcast setting, they know how that works. So I think it'll be a really, really solid show.
And, you know, what we forget is even though they may not have mixed a ton on TV, you know, like Stone Cold might have been doing his thing. The Dudleys were obviously in the tag team world for the most part. You know, those guys, I mean, they're drinkers, they're wrestlers, they're traveling road. I mean, you know, we've heard from Bully a bunch of times that when Brock first came up to the WWE, he rode with Bully and Devon. I mean, so that's the guys that he rode with. So, you know, those relationships, they are made, you know, really backstage more than they are, you know, on screen. So, no, they're going to have a ton to talk about. And the good thing about the Broken Skull Sessions is, and we saw this with Chris Jericho when he was, you know, currently an AEW talent, when he came over and did the interview, is that it's not that they're not going to bring up the other stuff. Hey, you worked at Impact, you worked at Ring of Honor, you did this, you're doing this. Now they're going to mention the Busted Open podcast. They're going to mention all that stuff. And I think it's going to be a pretty open conversation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Really look forward to it, as I do with pretty much every episode of Stone Cold Show.
Yeah, Ron Simmons was the last one on there, opened up about everything that had been going on, you know, and now Bully Ray, and I'm really excited to hear it, see it. I know that he wasn't on the his podcast stuff that he does on Sirius XM because he was busy recording it down in Texas, but that's all done. We don't have an air date for it yet, but it is coming soon. Maybe it comes right after WrestleMania. Who knows?
Well, hey, you know, in the Ron Simmons one, I mean, I'll sit down and I'll watch an interview with a Ron anytime.
Well, we know a Ron, don't we? We personally know a Ron. We do Ron. We do Ron. Let us move into really what took over the news cycle for wrestling yesterday. And it was Tony Kahn stating, look, I have a major announcement. We speculated over the last few days here at PWR today, and our consensus was it wasn't going to be talent involved, technically. So what could Tony be talking about? We thought maybe it's the pay-per-view model goes streaming.
Yeah.
Nope. Matthew Thomas, tell us what Tony Kahn, who got introduced by Tony Schiavone in ring to open up the show.
Tony Khan's big announcement was, in fact, that Tony Kahn now owns Ring of Honor Wrestling. Ring of Honor, their fate was not very well known. It was kind of up in the air. They were on hiatus, I believe, until April. And Tony Kahn did whatever he needed to do to purchase the company. So Ring of Honor Wrestling now owned by none other than Tony Kahn.
It's not like regular sports or, you know, television stations or, you know, FCC regulated where you can only have one major broadcaster in every market. If Tony Kahn wants to buy another wrestling company, he can buy another wrestling company. It's not like AEW hasn't been doing great business, because I really think they have been doing great business. The ratings are up. They get pay-per-view buys, which WWE doesn't get as much anymore because their content is offered through a streaming platform. We thought, and Matthew, you had speculated, I speculated that maybe Peacock or the HBO Max might be taking over the pay-per-view model for AEW. Maybe it's behind a paywall, maybe it's not, who knows? You know, I kept saying to Linda yesterday, oh, if it'd be on Peacock, it could be free for the man they call Meathead. But if it were on HBO Max, it could be free. It didn't happen. Matthew, where does AEW go next with the ownership of Ring of Honor.
I think that's exactly where I think they go to. They have now got a bigger pitch to HBO Max or Peacock or wherever they want to approach, because now it goes from the pay-per-views, but I mean, so much of what was valuable with the WWE network was the vast library, and AEW being still in its infancy as a customer. I mean, I don't know that you're necessarily going to draw people in with 3 years of pay-per-views and television. Now 20
Let me
years
ask you.
ROH.
I was going to say, let me ask you this though: do they have to pitch themselves to HBO Max?
I don't know. I think there's still a pitch. There's still a sales equation that has to factor in.
Okay. And the reason we bring this up, and I'm also talking so you can recover. The reason we bring this up, is, as you'll hear in the Max Caster wrap, Tony Schiavone mentions that, hey, great corporate synergy there, because he dropped a Euphoria reference, which is airing on HBO, and TNT is also a Warner Media company. So AEW airs their content on TNT and TBS, which are Warner Brothers companies. And HBO is a Warner Brothers company. So it's like, the whole reason that USA has the WWE content, because they work along with Peacock, NBC Universal.
And I will say, to the HBO Max thing, there's part of me that wonders if the deal is not in fact done, because about 3 or 4 hours prior to Dynamite, not just DirtySheets.com, which is where I normally get all my news.
I did my sheets in the wash today, so I had CleanSheets.com.
Sheets are machine washable. I never knew that. Anyway, yes, I do wash my sheets. Just that was a joke. I'm not. Well, anyway, moving on. There were a lot of very reputable journalists in this industry that were leading with reports of an HBO Max deal, and the whole acquisition of another company was kind of a byline. So there's part of me that wonders if that is not in fact done, and they're just kind of keeping that in the other hand for another major announcement. But
was it like the Jay White, Keith Lee gimmick, where Jay White shows up and that, it's kind of a swerve, and all of a sudden, boom, here's Keith Lee?
Yeah. That's kind of what I was expecting. And I mean, it's very possible that maybe you get that elaborated on over this weekend. Maybe you don't. But regardless, I think that this does change the landscape of wrestling, because I mean, if there were two companies that were alike in the industry, or a company that AEW was, I think, trying to replicate the most, I mean, ROH is kind of there. You can even say maybe it looks like Tony Khan has a soft spot in his heart for ECW with some of the various angles that we see. But I mean, if there was a company in the current market that is most akin to AEW, I think it's ROH, and this really gives Tony Khan a lot of options with a lot of talent.
So they open up the first match in honor, pun intended, of buying Ring of Honor, with the American Dragon Bryan Danielson taking on the fallen angel Christopher Danielson. They referenced 20 years ago that this was the opening match, the opening main event at the Ring of Honor show that they had. Fallen angel Christopher Daniels and American Dragon Bryan Danielson. But the bigger news is the fact that Christopher Daniels is not retired.
That's correct. And I mean, basically, the other half of Tony Khan's announcement was more or less that your interpretation was correct, and the final move, or the final tweaks that had to happen in the point scoring last year in the PWR draft. And Christopher Daniels never retired, so that nullified an Edge pickup. And I mean, you just got reconfirmation that you were correct.
I won the 2020-21, the 2020/2021 season PWR draft, which I'll be winning this year as well.
Yeah, and the good thing is, I'm glad you did that, and you just like a lollipop that you keep in your mouth as long as you can, man. You just savor that taste of victory.
Got to savor the flavor.
That'll be the last time it happens for a little while.
Yikes. let's talk about the match between Daniels and Dragon. Christopher Daniels still showing the effects of his eye from the Young Bucks that really knocked him out of wrestling about 7 months ago. He still has a bloody, it's not a white eye anymore. He's got a bloody eye.
Yeah, that was concerning to see. I had no idea that he was still showing the effects and the ramifications from that. And I do hope that continues to heal. And I want to talk really about the finish here. In a professional wrestling culture where we've been indoctrinated to, hey, you're only going to get beat by a finishing move. How cool was it to see Daniels in that hole, not ready to go out, and Danielson just kick him a little bit further, and he can't continue. Like, I really like the psychology of that finish.
Absolutely. All right. Afterwards, Moxley comes out, and they're about to go head-to-head. Remember, the match is this Sunday. It's Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, and they both look like they're ready to go. This will be the first match of the Ring of Honor indoctrination, I guess, into AEW. I know we got a lot more coming. The next thing that we had on AEW Dynamite last night was the 15-team Casino Tag Royale. Now, they did an absolutely horrible job of explaining to us before it. Oh, by the way, this isn't going to be like what you saw last week. We're going to start off with 2 teams, and we're going to enter in every 90 seconds another team. Boy, oh boy, this was I'm going to be completely honest. I love the match, and I love watching AEW, and I look forward to Dynamite. I thought this match was a shit show.
Yeah, AEW, that's can be a weak point where they struggle with some of the novelty of these matches. It took me like 2 years to understand what they were doing with the suites of cards or suits of cards, I guess.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff, So for the sake of being different, it can be a little convoluted sometimes. That being said, I like the fact that we did not get the final puzzle to this tag match until the go-home show. So often what we see with WWE is your card pretty much set 3 weeks ahead of time, and you're just going through the motions. You're in holding patterns. You're in how can they coexist matches for 3 straight weeks. This, we are still getting things penciled in. But in a smart way, in a way that makes sense, not just we don't know what to do. We're running too slow on this, so we got to throw something up against the wall. They are, showing the restraint to gradually, make it gradually materialize.
So coming out of this match, here's some of the stories we had. Top Flight, Darius Martin has returned. So the team of Top Flight, Dante Martin, who we've gotten in singles action all throughout the last, 6-9 months, whatever. But Darius, his brother, is back. We also got Meathead finally realizing that 2.0, Jeff Parker and Matt Lee, who had just left NXT as Everrise, also making fun of NXT 2.0. I just got that, by the way.
No, same. Really, to kind of put it over the top, they need a little bit more kind of multicolored tie-dye clothes to wear, and I think that would do it.
So this match, we got a lot of different tag teams last week. Now, here's the weird part. How did FTR get in both matches? And then the teams that we had last night, like the Young Bucks, they had gotten both matches. I think the Acclaim was in both matches, but then a lot of these other teams only got one shot. Who determined that?
I'm sure it was just a fee, like you just paid the cover to be in both matches,
I guess. We got some tag teams we haven't seen in a while, or at least on the big show. There was Bear Country. There was Varsity Blondes. There was Pretty Peter Avalon and Ryan Nemeth. The Gun Club, the Ass Boys. We also had the, like I said, Top Flight was back in there, and Brock Anderson and Big Shotty Lee Johnson.
It just reinforced how deep that tag team division is. Honestly,
I was going to say the Dark Order had 2 teams in there.
Yeah, you could realistically have a 1-hour YouTube show or wherever you decided to put it each week in AEW of just tag teams.
You could. I mean, I think they really need to get that trios belt going.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And again, I mean, if you got too much for the roster, have a few jump over to your new company.
Could. All right, let's talk CM Punk and MJF. Matthew, when this first started, the CM Punk promo and the MJF, back and forth in ring, where it went almost 20 minutes in the ring. Punk talking about the MJF being a Miz Light and, telling him good luck if you want to go to WWE, headlining night 7 of WrestleMania in front of a half empty crowd. Did you think it would get this good?
I hope so. I mean, basically what you've seen with this program is taking it very, very broad. You're talking business to very, very personal. Think about a big circle going into a little smaller circle. You've really made it personal. And what you had last night was it be building to a fever pitch for the matchup this weekend at the pay-per-view. I was not so high on the promo last week, and my main concern was going to be that they were using, MJF having slurs hurled at him as a kid, as a storytelling device, as a device to get more heat on MJF. Because listen, he was eventually going to be, the MJF that we did not feel sympathy for, that they did not want the viewer to feel sympathy for. My concern was they were going to get that by a way of, I made that whole thing up. And then you've got a company who has greenlit a slur to be used as a storytelling device for a pro wrestling heel. We didn't get that last night. We got him. We got the MJF that we knew we were going to get, the heel MJF, the MJF with the, low blow and those dirty tactics. But we did not get him walking that story back, which I think would have been a very, very wrong way to do it on so many levels. I'm better with the way they went last week than I was a week ago. And I think you built last night into a great, great go-home segment for the pay-per-view for a very brutal match, as a dog collar match.
A couple of highlights from what Punk said, which was amazing. He goes, and he said it in a different Punk tone. He goes, so here's the thing. I've done horrible things in my life. I used to be so I'm full of hate, but every morning I get up, I splash my face and ask, am I a good guy or am I the bad guy? So he says, and he keeps going. And then at the end of his promo, he woke up again and thinking about 11-year-old kids watching him and says, am I a good guy? And he says, I'm sure trying. Boy, that was heartfelt. I mean, seriously, that was, I don't know if he was shooting. I don't know if he had written it down or he was just hitting the high spots, but I really loved the way MJF pulled him in. Now, I had told you this off air before, and I was trying to come up with the movie. I believe the movie reference was in Pulp Fiction, where they talk about some sort of animal that's some sort of fish that's underwater would have laid dead there and just let its enemy get closer, get closer, get closer, even take little bites of it, and then finally attack and kill it. That's what MJF did. He made himself vulnerable. He pulled Punk in. He pulled all of us in. And when he got him close enough, then he attacked him. I thought it was amazing.
Oh, I stopped paying attention. MJF was in Pulp Fiction. Is that what you said?
Yes, he was the golden boy in the briefcase. You never saw him because you just open up the briefcase and all you see is gold shining.
Yeah, so I have seen the clip with Rosie O'Donnell. I guess Rosie O'Donnell was in Pulp Fiction too, and that's where the clip came from. Okay, that tied a lot of loose ends together.
Let's talk Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter in a tag match against Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez. Thunder Rosa gets the Tiger Driver 98, and she's got a title shot this Sunday against Britt Baker for the Women's Championship.
This is a good chance for AEW to do non-WWE pay-per-view booking. Have your champion be pinned on the go-home show and have your champion be pinned or submitted or something to lose the title on the actual pay-per-view. I hope they're not falling into, the typical WWE trope of
50-50. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think there's a good chance that they don't. I mean, it's a very self-aware company, and I think they're very aware of what they did last night as a potential red herring to throw the viewer off.
Okay. Wardlow takes on Cesar Bonani, and Cesar is bigger than Wardlow. That's the first thing I noticed, but it didn't exclude him from the Powerbomb Symphony. Now, they are pushing this to a fever pitch with Wardlow, Sean Spears, and MJF, to the point where backstage, MJF slaps Wardlow and says, look, you don't work for AEW, you work for me. If you win that title match, I'll let you keep the belt.
So glad that AEW has not hot shot at Wardlow's face turn. Like you said, they have built it to an absolute fever pitch. The last time I can remember a heel in a heel stable, and actually he was a bodyguard as well too, that the fans were as anxious to turn face. You got to go back to Shawn Michaels and Diesel, probably 94.
You mean the host of Shenanigans Dallas XXL?
That's right. That's right. I mean, that's been, you got to go back almost 30 years to that turn. But yeah, if you want to see Kevin Nash and be like, you know what? I was listening to this fella talk about how Wardlow's push is very similar to yours, and I just want to talk to you about that. You can come to see us at Shenanigans and tell Kevin Nash that yourself. And then you can tell me, it's like, hey, Matthew, I followed your advice and I went to tell Kevin Nash what you wanted me to tell
him. Let's talk the main event. AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page, Dark Order's Johnny Hungy, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds took on Adam Cole, Bebe, and Red Dragon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly. This was a good match, and it was, again, AEW is not afraid to go Adam versus Adam, Page versus Cage, Cage and Page, Cage, Page, Page. I mean, whatever. I really liked the point where Adam Cole was sitting ringside. His hair hadn't been messed up yet, and Adam Page is in the middle of the ring looking like he's just out defeated. Adam Cole yelling, tag me in, tag me in. The second he gets in, there's Adam Page playing possum, and they went face to face. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was a great way to go off the air. I think they overall did a fantastic job on their go-home show. I mean, it gave me the excitement that effective go-home shows in yesteryear used to. And again, I think the dynamic's a little bit different with AEW because you are still asking your audience to plop down a chunk of change on your show. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what you're doing. And I think they did an effective job of this. And I'm going to throw this out there too. And I didn't think about it until we got we got all three teams that are in the tag team match this weekend in the ring. But you could have a very, very undisputed era-esque moment if we have got Red Dragon with the tag titles and Adam Cole with the AEW World title.
It's possible. I don't want it, but it's very possible.
It would feel. I don't mind one or the other, but my goodness, it would feel like you're trying to replicate, something that WWE was doing in their programming, just a year or so ago.
Yep. So let's talk about what's coming up today. Pat McAfee has Vincent Kennedy McMahon on the Pat McAfee Show. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to kind of break it down. And then tomorrow, we're also going to run down Revolution, give her predictions, and talk about what's also coming up in the pre-show for Revolution. They're going to send in Hook. QT Marshall, look out.
I just hope there's enough bandwidth on the internet to sustain Hook being featured live online.
For Matthew Thomas on the Man They Call Meathead, hey, thanks for stopping by. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. So long, everyone.